Most men chase. Most men beg. Most men get ignored. Why? Because they never learn how to truly read a woman beneath the surface. They fall for the smile. They get seduced by the body. But they fail to see what psychologically disarms her, what pulls her in, emotionally and silently commands her respect. You see, a woman doesn't fall in love with what you say. She falls in love with how you control your energy, how you walk into a room without seeking validation, how you refuse to be manipulated by softness. That's power, and that's rare. This video isn't about how to attract her. It's about how to trigger the parts of her brain that make her weak in your presence without trying too hard. Let's begin with what breaks her guard every time. Part 1. Emotional certainty. A woman's chaos seeks a man's calm. If you become the storm, she'll lose interest. If you become the anchor, she'll surrender. Women are emotional by nature. They live in emotion, swim in it, drown in it. So what do they seek subconsciously? A man who doesn't get swept up in their tide. When she's moody, she doesn't need fixing. When she's cold, she doesn't need begging. What she's really testing is your reaction. Because if you flinch, if you mirror her chaos, you become predictable. You become just another emotionally unstable man she cannot respect. But when you stay rooted, when you hold eye contact calmly as she throws a tantrum, when your tone remains level while hers rises, she suddenly questions everything. Why isn't he chasing? Why isn't he explaining? Why isn't he breaking? That internal tension becomes her weakness. Women are biologically drawn to emotional anchors. If you can be that, you instantly stand out in a sea of noise. Part 2. Purpose over her. The man she can't control is the man she respects the most. Every woman wants to be your priority until she sees that your purpose comes first. And then she starts to admire you. Here's the paradox. When you place a woman at the center of your life, she loses respect. Why? Because deep down she knows she didn't earn that spot. But when you put your goals, your mission, your future above everything else, she may pout, she may resist, but she'll be drawn in. A man with purpose is hard to manipulate. He's focused, unshakable. He doesn't respond to attention-seeking behavior because he has bigger things to conquer. And when she realizes she's not your mission, but simply a woman lucky enough to witness you fulfill it, she submits to that power. Willingly. That's not cruelty. That's psychological truth. Make your mission bigger than her emotions, and you'll always have her respect. Part 3. Selective attention. Your attention is currency, and when you give it freely, you bankrupt your value. Women crave attention, but not just any attention, they crave valued attention. That means attention that is earned, not handed out like candy. Most men give too much. They double text. They chase after unread messages. They validate endlessly, thinking this will make her stay. But she doesn't want what's easy. Selective attention means you reward behavior, not presence. You don't respond instantly. You don't validate chaos. You don't compliment her just because she looks good. You compliment her when her actions show growth. This scarcity creates desire. Think of it like a game. If she knows she already won you, she stops playing. But if she senses she must keep earning you, she becomes addicted to the chase. Your attention should be like gold, rare, valuable, and not easily handed out. When you master this, you control the dynamic without saying a word. Part 4. Unshakable boundaries. When you say no without flinching, you become the man she can't play. Most men break their own rules the moment she raises her voice, pouts, or withdraws attention. They fold under pressure because they fear losing her. But the man who doesn't compromise his boundaries for sex, affection, or validation, he becomes unforgettable. Boundaries tell her, I respect myself more than I fear losing you. And this terrifies her, but also attracts her, because deep down every woman wants to know, can I move him? Can I manipulate him? Can I control him? And when the answer is no, when you enforce your standards without apology, her respect grows. This doesn't mean being cruel. It means having a code you live by, a structure you don't bend, even for beauty. If she pushes and you say, this is who I am and I don't change for anyone, you activate a deeper form of desire, earned submission, not because you forced her, but because you refused to break for her. Part 5. Emotional silence. The moment you stop explaining yourself is the moment you become mysterious. Men today overshare. They explain every move. They justify their silence. They try to convince her why they're good men. But power doesn't explain itself. Power doesn't beg to be understood. When you become emotionally silent, when you stop reacting, clarifying and pleading, you become an enigma, and mystery creates obsession. She begins to wonder, why is he so calm? What is he thinking? Why does he seem unbothered? The moment you create that question in her mind, you take control of the psychological frame, because silence makes her chase clarity, and that chase is what triggers her emotional vulnerability. The less you speak, the more she imagines, and often what she imagines is more powerful than anything you could say. Part 6. Masculine stillness. His stillness is louder than rage and more dangerous than reaction. Imagine this. She's yelling, accusing, testing, and you just sit there unmoved. Not because you're passive, but because you've mastered restraint. Masculine stillness is the rare ability to absorb chaos without responding to it. It's what made ancient warriors feared, not because they were loud, but because they were calm before the storm. When she tries to provoke you and you remain unbothered, not cold, but composed, she starts to question her own behavior. This stillness tells her, I don't chase drama, I observe it, and I leave if it repeats. Stillness is a power signal. It doesn't beg, it doesn't apologize unnecessarily, it doesn't entertain dysfunction. A man who is still can wait longer, walk away faster, and remain unaffected. And in a world full of reactive men, this makes you elite. Part 7. Calculated presence. Don't just be around her. Make your presence so rare, it feels sacred. Most guys make the mistake of being over-available. They text all day, hang out with her daily. They're always just there, but anything in abundance loses value. Calculated presence means you're not always accessible, but when you show up, you're fully present, undistracted, and intense. This means when you're with her, you listen deeply. You observe. You hold eye contact. You don't scroll. You don't talk aimlessly. You just exist with weight. And then you disappear. This rhythm of intentional presence, followed by withdrawal, triggers emotional imbalance. She starts to crave your energy, not because you gave too much, but because you gave it with meaning and then took it away. Presence isn't about being there all the time. It's about being there in such a powerful way that your absence is deafening. Part 8. Detached dominance. The man who could have her, but doesn't. Need her is the one she obsesses over. This is the final piece that binds it all. Dominance isn't control. It isn't force. It's inner mastery, the knowledge that you could lead, take, own, and command. But you choose not to unless she earns it. When you're emotionally detached, you don't fall just because she's pretty. You don't change your direction for affection. You remain firm in who you are, and she has to rise to meet you. This detachment is terrifying to her ego, but magnetic to her spirit, because she's used to men chasing, begging, and compromising. But when you lead with grounded masculine energy, and yet remain unattached to the outcome, you become the man she both fears losing and cannot stop thinking about. This is the essence of Stoicism in modern dating. Power with stillness, desire without need, presence without dependence. Part 9. Stoic rejection of approval. The man who stops seeking approval becomes the man they all approve of. In the world of dating, most men live to please. They ask, was I too harsh? Did I upset her? Will she still like me if I say no? But the Stoic man moves differently. He doesn't perform for validation. He doesn't shrink himself to avoid her disapproval. Why? Because his value isn't defined by how she sees him. It's defined by how he sees himself. When you stop craving approval, you operate from internal alignment, not external permission. You don't dress to impress, you dress to express. You don't speak to be liked, you speak to be heard. You don't bend your beliefs, you stand tall in them. And here's the twist. The moment you stop seeking her validation is the moment she starts giving it freely. Why? Because women can sense when a man is self-owned. And that energy? It's irresistible. You're not just another man trying to impress. You become the standard. Part 10. Purpose before pleasure. When your mission is bigger than your desire for her, she chases you into your purpose. The most powerful men in history, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca, they didn't orbit around women. They orbit around purpose. The modern man, he chases women harder than he chases meaning. He wakes up for her, but not for himself. But when you reverse this, when your life becomes mission first, every woman you encounter must either align with that mission or get left behind. You start building. You grow stronger. You walk with fire in your chest and clarity in your eyes. And suddenly she notices. Why? Because purpose is magnetic. It radiates from your silence, your focus, your discipline. Women are drawn to men who belong to something greater than lust. When she sees that she's not your priority but your path is, that's when she wants to walk it with you. Not because you begged, but because you are already walking. Final words, the Stoic edge. In the end, it's not about tactics. It's not about being cold or playing games. It's about embodying a presence that's rooted in self-mastery. A presence that doesn't bend for pleasure, attention, or validation. The Stoic man doesn't chase. He builds. He refines. He leads. He speaks less but says more. He doesn't need to be desired. But he is. Because his silence has weight. His standards have edges. And his mission, it burns like fire. So remember this. She'll crave the man who no longer craves her, but builds a life so powerful, she wants to be part of it.